Hello everyone, it's me, and I'm standing. Huh? What do you think? Okay, let's talk about it. HBO Max. It has turned into Max. Barry and Succession just had their series finales and are now over. And now we have a new show called The Idol. And this disgusting haircut. No, not that one. This one. Yeah. Why are we being cursed by the TV gods? What did we do? Now, I don't know the last time I saw such a visceral reaction from so many people online about a show that hasn't even released yet, but The Weeknd and the guy who made Euphoria made a show that somehow has the internet unified on how much we all hate this thing. As of today, 2 episodes of The Idol have been released so people can finally give their complete, honest, unbiased take on this TV show. And me, as a super dedicated journalist, has dedicated 2 hours of my sad life to watching the first 2 episodes of The Idol. Stick around if you want to see what I thought about it. I'll give you a hint. It's bad. Now, I want to talk about why this show is so hated and what people actually think about it now that it's out. But before that, so much news and drama has been coming in and has been requested, and I feel bad that I don't have the time to talk about everything in the same way I can talk about stuff like this. So I'm going to start posting on my third channel, He Said Us, and I've already made a shorter video on this sandwich drama that I saw on TikTok the other day that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have enough content to turn it into a full video. So go watch it there. You can watch it after this video if you want. That's it. Oh, and also, like, half of you aren't subscribed to the Green-is-Not-Nick channel. Hit the subscribe button. We're gonna beat my main channel soon. We gotta pass it up. Okay, so why did The Idol become such a widely hated show? What is it about? Why does The Weeknd have this haircut? Huh? Does anyone have an answer yet? Doesn't seem like it's really necessary. So about 2 years ago, The Idol was initially announced as this project that Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, and Sam Levinson, aka Euphoria Man, would be creating. Now, less than a year later, HBO announced that the show was getting a complete overhaul. The release timeline was pushed back, a bunch of crew members left the show, the director left, and Sam Levinson, the creator of Euphoria, came in to direct the entire first season of the show. At the time, these announcements didn't seem like they'd be that big of a deal. In reality, it was way worse than what the audience thought. But just 3 months ago, Rolling Stone ends up putting out an article that says, "Production Hell, The Idol, How HBO's Next Euphoria Became Twisted Torture Porn." And this article, or this expose, talks about so much more stuff than I realized that went on during the production of the show that I think more people need to be aware of going into what we're about to watch. I just tried sipping my water bottle with the cap on. So the article initially starts talking about how The Idol is supposed to be this darker, crazier, more risque version of Euphoria. I didn't watch Euphoria. I know a lot of people who like it, but every time I think about it, I'm like, isn't that the show where they have all these adults pretend to be teenagers having sex and doing drugs? I don't know. It seems it's just a little bit much for me. I think I'd be stressed the whole time if I watched it. I'm going to at least take a pass for now. So the Rolling Stone article says that Levinson and Abel are the sick and twisted minds behind the sleaziest love story in all of Hollywood. And that's literally how HBO describes it. It's The Weeknd and Sam Levinson and their sick fucked minds putting together this disgusting show. But there were 13 sources from the production end of this show that came to Rolling Stone and talked about their experience with it. And as I read what is going on in this show, it just goes from bad to worst. The first thing that happens is that production sources say that they were in the dark on when the show would actually air. They had little idea of what the final version of the show would look like. And overall, they said the whole thing is a huge shit show, doo-doo on the walls, poo everywhere. Now, last April, the original director suddenly left the show with like 80% of the series finished. Like tens of millions of dollars had been spent. But then HBO comes out, says there's going to be this like big creative overhaul, and the cast and crew were adjusted without really much explanation at all. Well, besides The Weeknd saying that he is understood to have been unhappy with the original creative direction of the show, which is thought to have already filmed footage for around 4 or 5 episodes. So it says here that the crux of the issue appeared to be that The Weeknd felt like the show was leaning too much into the female perspective with co-star Lily Rose Depp's character rather than his own. And a lot of people were upset about this comment, rightfully so. It seems like You have to be kind of a jackass to say something like that about a show that already doesn't have good press, but I will move on. So Rolling Stone says that in interviews with 13 members of the show, they learned that this huge delay in this creative shit show was caused by the Euphoria creator Sam Levinson taking over as director and scrapping the nearly finished $54 to $75 million project so he can rewrite and reshoot the entire thing. About 80% of this season was done. Tens of millions of dollars, they scrap it all. Sources come out saying that his takeover resulted in the show basically sucking ass. They said that he just dialed up the disturbing sexual content and the nudity to be way too much even for a show that was made by Euphoria guy. That's right. You don't get a name anymore, Euphoria guy. How is this the face of the guy that keeps trying to make all of these shows that are just people fucking and getting high? As one production member puts it, what I signed up for was a dark satire of fame and the fame model in the 21st century, the things that we subject our talent and stars to, the forces that put people in the spotlight, and how that can be manipulated in the post-Trump world. However, it went from satire to the thing it was satirizing, which is always a bad look. It's so exciting to see something that is so unaware. It makes me excited to talk about it. 4 sources say that Levinson ultimately scrapped the previous director's approach to the story, making it less about a troubled starlet falling victim to a predatory industry figure and fighting to reclaim her own agency, and more of a degrading love story with a hollow message that some crew members describe as being offensive. A production member explains that Levinson's version was like any fantasy that any toxic man would have in the show, and then the woman comes back for more because it makes her music better. For context, the show is about like a super famous troubled pop star who falls in love with this like weird head of a club, like weird cult guy that is played by The Weeknd, and then her and him fall in love and decide to take her career on a new trajectory. It's whatever. Now we go to the other side of things, and Lily Rose Depp actually can't get enough of Sam Levinson. She says he's the best director she's ever worked with. There's basically no complaints from her about the aggressive sexual content that this show shoves in your face. And there were other sources that were listed in this article that were close to the production who said the cast was great, the crew was great, ton of care put into the show. Couldn't have been more grateful for it, I guess. And HBO came out with the same demeanor saying, hey, everything's going great over here. I'm not seeing any problems with the set. I think the show's going great. I'm HBO. But back on the other side of it, the original director who left the show was allegedly on set 7 weeks before the show started filming and was given half-finished scripts, a tight schedule, and a budget that was completely unrealistic with what HBO was asking for. They are basically making this new show about this famous and rich pop star who is living a luxurious lifestyle with mansions and pools and tennis courts and everything they need, and they have like half of the budget of Euphoria season 2, which is still, I'm sure, a lot of money, but I don't know how you expect the same guy to make a show that's just as good with half the budget when it requires more luxurious shit. The show is not about high schoolers anymore. It's about like fucking famous and rich people. So it takes a lot of money to put on a production that shows that. So weeks later, director leaves, Sam Levinson comes in, and we get reports that this project seemed to be more of a vanity project for The Weeknd and Sam than a collaborative project that would be like the next big TV hit. One of the sources says, I went into The Idol thinking that this might be an interesting collaboration, but I left it pretty convinced that Sam Levinson is not quite collaborative. It's really frustrating seeing Amy doing her best to turn around some kind of product that she can be somewhat proud of to HBO, Amy being the original director of the show, and then HBO turns around and has Sam get essentially a blank check to turn it into Euphoria season 3 with pop stars, and that's extremely frustrating. This is also after Sam came back on the show and then added a bunch of stars to the show, including, I think, Troye Sivan, Jennie from Blackpink, Moses Sumney, all these fucking people who like have basically no reason to actually be in the show, at least from what I've seen in the first 2 episodes, and they aren't given like any lines, but they're spending huge amounts of their budget to get like the singer from Blackpink and this actor and this trendy person that can be in the show. Apparently there were more than 20 rewrites for the first version of the show, and scripts were constantly being updated with drastic changes that made the show a nightmare to work on. A report from April blamed the show's overhaul on Abel Tesfaye, who was reportedly unhappy that the story was focusing focusing too much on Depp's character, as we talked about before, and a source with knowledge seconds that Tesfaye was the reason behind the shakeup, wanting to tone down the cult aspect of the storyline and pivot into something else entirely, dropping the feminist lens through which the story was being told as a result. And, quote, it was like The Weeknd wanted one show that was all about him, and Sam was completely on board with that. So it's kind of hard to see how some crew members can think that everything is going completely fine, but the 13 who decided to talk to the Rolling Stone have the complete opposite thing to say about it. And this shit keeps going. The Rolling Stone expose article, it just like never ends. For every current crew member who talks about how great the show is, there's like 5 more people to tell you that working on the show is a complete nightmare. One production member said that it was a show about a woman who was finding herself sexually that turned into a show about a man who gets to abuse this woman, and she loves it. Now, at this point, we start hearing about just how much more graphic this show really is than I already thought. There are reports of different drafts and scripts, including revolting scenes of sexual abuse that I don't even want to talk about here because it's just too much. I will link the Rolling Stone article down below, but one source described the show as sexual torture. It's almost such an extreme that it's like, there's no message, one Idol crew member says. There is no point. They're just trying to see how much of a reaction they can get. And once this article came out and everyone started talking about it, Sam Levinson and The Weeknd decided to make the genius decision to turn the bad press into promotion by releasing this clip of the show alongside a tweet that said, at Rolling Stone, did we upset you? And I can't play the whole clip, but I'll give you a couple seconds of what it said.
Rolling Stone? Are they a little irrelevant?
I don't know. I feel like it might be kind of past its prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody cares about Rolling Stone.
And this upset a lot of people because there were over a dozen cast members that spoke out about how much of a nightmare shooting this show is. And then 2 of the guys who are like the people that everyone's complaining about are now like making fun of those people and being like, oh, did we upset you, Rolling Stone? Oh, are you triggered by how serious our set is and how hard it is for us to make this show because we're freaks? And if you watch the actual show, you can see how it got to that level and how this actual set of people who are acting could realistically all not be having a very good time shooting this show. It does not look like a lot of fun to shoot at all. Now, at the Cannes Film Festival, Lily Rose Depp, who already has pushed back against the report saying that she loves Sam Levinson's work, she said, I just want to say that it's always sad and disheartening to hear mean, false things about someone you care about, and it wasn't my experience shooting the show. And I think as one of the leads of the show, it is so shallow to come out and be like, it sucks when people lie about being mistreated in the workplace because everything's going on fine here. And especially because people talked about how The Weeknd was like barely on set because they had to work around his schedule, despite the fact that he's one of the stars of the show and one of the creators of the show, but he's like barely there. He's also listed as one of the writers on the show, but people who were on the show said he never was around for any rewrites, any changes to the script. He never really had any input that they actually saw on the show. I mean, the clip we watched about the Rolling Stone shit literally like looked like a scene just going on too long that they were just improvising. It did not look good.
Rolling Stone has 6 million followers on Instagram. Half of them probably bots.
Well, I don't know about that.
And
Levinson acknowledged that everyone knew they were making a show that's provocative, and he also said that his reaction to the Rolling Stone piece after his wife read it to him for the first time was, I think we're about to have the biggest show of the summer. I don't know where in your brain you can see allegations from people who you hired talking about how you treated them poorly, and you just think, oh, yeah, no, this is going to be the show of the summer. Like, that's actually sociopathic shit. Levinson said, they're free to write whatever they want. My only gripe is that they intentionally omitted anything that didn't fit their narrative. But there's been a lot of that lately. And I also find that so, like, smug and evil because when I go to the Rolling Stone article, they leave in multiple different parts of this expose that say that certain crew members said that everything was fine, on the other hand, that they didn't have any issues. But if you already have 13 people who have an issue with your show, why are you turning the other way and going, okay, but let's listen to these people who like what's going on and tell these people that they're lying and they have some narrative? What narrative do 13 random people who were paid to work on your show, what reason do they have to talk to Rolling Stone? They're not even named in the article. They have no reason to come out and say these things, yet the actual director and creators of the show don't give a shit because they're the stars. They have all the shit coming to them as much as they want. Sam Levinson can spend all the money he wants for HBO, and they can create this like piece that jerks off The Weeknd so he can feel like he's a good actor, even though, as I will say later in my review for the show, he's not a good actor. I think he might be the worst part of the show. I think it's really hard to take these people seriously if that's their response to serious allegations, and if they want to make a joke out of it or say that people have like agendas. I really don't know what other reason these people would have to speak out about the show anonymously. If they, what's the agenda? They want the show to do poorly? It has a gigantic Rolling Stone article written about it. People are talking about it everywhere. I'm talking about it right now. It seems like once you have someone like Sam Levinson who's in that like euphoria spot where they can create anything with HBO and they'll just like hand him a check, it makes you have this power that makes you feel like you don't have to worry about all of that shit. You just get to make the show you want, and HBO is going to keep paying you. And as long as you and The Weeknd are happy, as long as you and your buddy The Weeknd are happy, then everything's okay. Let's talk about what I thought about the show. I watched the first 2 episodes, and my main thing over everything, the first thing I'll say about the first 2 episodes is it's boring. It's so boring, especially the first episode. It gets to a part in the second episode, like halfway through, where I'm like, okay, these episodes could have been 30-45 minutes, and this should be where the first episode should have ended. And now we're almost done with the second episode, and the plot has only inched further. It's all these scenes of people talking about nothing and saying the same thing, going, oh, this pop star needs to keep making music. Oh, but she's tired and she doesn't like doing that. Oh, but it doesn't matter because we own you and we're the label. Oh, but my mom got cancer. It's just this back and forth of like, I feel like shit. This person makes you feel more like shit. Finally, we go to the club and I'm the most famous pop star in the world, but nobody's dancing with me. And The Weeknd is going to come over and be a freak in that haircut. Enough. Before I say really anything further, I want to talk about the things that I like about it. I think that a lot of the cast is great. I actually like Lily Rose Depp in the show, at least acting wise. I think her character still is very shallow, but I think what she did with the script is better than what a lot of people could have done. I liked Troye Sivan in the show. He was pretty funny. He was good. I liked Jenny, even though she got like 2 lines. I don't really know why she's in the show or if the plot is going to call for her. According to people who worked on the show, she literally got like a few lines and they spent a shit ton of money on her. I like Rachel Sennett, of course. Very likable person on camera. It's hard not to like laugh at some of the stuff that's happening in the show just because the people on the show are at least working with the material, but most of the actors and most of the story I just don't care for. It's just too boring. The Weeknd does not come off as this like mysterious cult DJ like rat tail guy. He just comes off as like a greasy freak. And the first episode was like really boring, and then I watched the second one because people said it was worth watching. Like the first 2 episodes are the ones that people saw before the show actually came out. So all the reviews that were talking about how bad the show was, a lot of them were talking about this second episode where The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp have a explicit scene where The Weeknd tries to be sexy. It tries to do this like weird kink thing in the bedroom, and it is like so like the dialogue is like middle school. Ooh. Oh yeah, like there's a scene where he's just sitting like he's like, yeah, girl. I can't wait to yeah. No. He's like sitting across the room talking to her. They're doing this like weird, I don't know. I like finished the second episode and I feel exhausted. I thought in the first 30 minutes I was like, there's something here, but after watching a show like Barry, super recommend, where every episode is like 30-35 minutes, there are 8 episodes a season, 4 seasons, that's 16 hours of TV right there. I don't need these like hour-plus long episodes where people are just walking around and saying the same it, and we're just wondering the same stuff. Oh, what's going on with The Weeknd? Oh, hopefully this helps her career. And it's all surrounded with like gratuitous amounts of drugs and nudity that add really nothing to the plot. I wish the show was more interesting. I'm sure Euphoria was better than this. There are times where the cinematography's okay and like the shots look good, but they don't feel like they have any meaning, you know? They all feel empty and like insincere, and I don't really have anything else to say. So yeah, I think that's it on The Idol. I may continue to watch it if people are still interested in me covering it once the actual first season ends. I'll watch the whole goddamn it show. I normally don't put this much prep into a video. You know, it took me 2 hours to watch these 2 episodes. Normally I wake up, type a couple of things down, I come to the camera, I talk to you guys. But that's the video. If you liked it, you should subscribe. Half of you normally-ish aren't, okay? And if you want to see me talk about the sandwich drama, check out He Said Us. I am going to try to make smaller videos there that don't really work for full second channel videos. But again, I appreciate all the support. There's a bunch of new people coming to the channel. This is like the most people who have been interested in what I've been doing in a while, and I enjoy doing this. So I'm happy that I get to actually keep talking about it because it's easy. I just sit here and I freaking yap for like minutes at a time. Minutes. Anyways, that's it. Also, I have a Spotify playlist I put out for this new genre of music I'm creating, so you should click it down below. Have fun, and I don't know, watch a good TV show. Watch Barry. I need to finish Succession. I'm watching Severance. I need to finish Severance. I should just start talking about the shows I watch. I want to rewatch Breaking Bad because when I was in high school, I only watched the first 3 seasons, and then I didn't want to go back and rewatch those seasons. So then I just like I just stopped, and I need to keep going. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm tired. Bye.